Okay. Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Three Om Raghuji. Om. Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. समस्तजन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः यतः सर्वाणि भूतानि प्रतिभान्तिनि
प्रतिभान्ति स्थितानि च
प्रतिभान्ति स्थितानि च
यत्
यतर्
यत्रैवोपशमं यान्ति
यत्रैवोपशमं यान्ति
तस्मै सत्यात्मने नमः।
तस्मै सत्यात्मने नमः।
ज्ञाता ज्ञानं तथा ज्ञेयम्
नाता ज्ञानं तथा ज्ञेयम्
द्रष्टा दर्शनदृश्यभूः
द्रष्टा दर्शनदृश्यभूः
कर्ता हेतुक्रिया यस्मात्
कर्ता हेतुक्रिया यस्मात्
तस्मै ज्ञत्यात्मने नमः।
तस्मै ज्ञात्मने नमः।
स्फुरन्ति सीकरा यस्मात्
स्फुरन्ति सीकरा यस्मात्
आनन्दस्यात् भरे वनौ
आनन्दस्यापरेवनौ
सर्वेषां जीवनं तस्मै
सर्वेषां जीवनं तस्मै
ब्रह्मानन्दात्मने नमः।
ब्रह्मानन्दात्मने नमः।
दिवि भूमौ तथाकाशे
दिवि भूत्मौ तथाकाशे
बहिरन्तश्च मे विदुः विभुः
बहिरन्तश्च मे विभुः
यो विभात्यवभासात्मा
यो विभात्यवभासात्मा
तस्मै सर्वात्मने नमः।
तस्मै सर्वात्मने नमः। So Raghuji, last week we covered section 6, 7 and 8, right, Raghuji?
Correct.
So I'll just give a summary of all the three sections. Probably I'll try to brief based on I didn't refer to any other discourses, Raghuji. I just went through the readings of Swamiji. I just wanted to summarize it. So
Good.
maybe stop me, or if I'm too elaborative, just
A summary has to be a summary.
yeah. It will not be elaborate, but if it is too much, please do stop me. So I think last class we discussed section 6 to 8 of Utpatti Prakarana, which is the origination of the intuitive vision. So here I think from last few sections, it has been a conversation between Sage Vashishta and Lord Rama. So as we discussed here, Lord Rama, even though he's a Lord, Lord of Lords, he is questioning. He is coming up with questions. He wants to he's in the self-inquiry process, and then Sage Vashishta has been answering and clarifying all his questions. So here in section 6, Sage Vashishta explains about the self-realization process and how one can attain. Uh, you know, um, he says that one can attain that self-realization process only through wisdom and not through mere. So a person who does all good karmic actions and then service to the society and service to the Lord, that will only purify him. So it will not it does not help him to attain to that stage, is what Sage Vashishta is explaining here. So the only way he says that we can get to that stage of realization is through knowledge inquiry and through association with the wise group, and through the blessings of Guru, and through constant Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So that's at a high level is what Sage Vashishta is explaining of how to one can attain self-realization. So through purification, one has to eradicate attachment to the worldly object, anger, pride, hatred, and other impurities in the mind to attain spiritual wisdom. It kind of denotes the principle of Vedanta, where the Viveka, Vairagya, Shatka Sampad, all the six principles, has to be adhered by any seeker. Even from the initial stage of his seeking, in the self-inquiry process. Shall I move on, Raghuji?
Yeah, that's
So
good.
it is more of, yeah. So in section 7, so into the to this Sage Vashishta's response, Lord Rama is asking about high Vedanta inquiry here, like then. So he wants to know who is Brahman, then the God of gods. You're saying everything is Brahman. So who is Brahman and where does he abide? So to that, Sage Vashishta gives a very interesting response. He says, the God of God abides in the body of every living being. He is pure consciousness that enables one's functioning of mind, intellect, and all the senses, indriyas, and all the everything is functioning only from that level of pure consciousness. Without pure consciousness, there is nothing that exists. So Lord Rama thinks, this seems to be so easy. You're just saying, like, he is a pure consciousness, is everywhere, and that's what is existence. Even a small kid could understand this, right? So if we understand this, are we saying that we are liberated? So that for that, Sage Vashishta goes up and says, each, just a state of liberation is being like free from all externalizations. It is not just understanding that, hey, pure consciousness is everything, from what the text says or the scripture says, is not going to attain. Like, you have to be liberated. You should be, you should kind of detach from the external world and not, do actions that will create vriktis and more vasanas that will take you into the vicious circle of birth and death cycle. And he says, an ignorant thinks Jiva is different from the Brahman and cannot attain liberation. So, so that ignorance can be kind of negated only through the study of scriptures. And and he goes on to say that self is like a great ocean of consciousness, and the world exists only as a wave of illusion. Only when one is free from illusion, pure consciousness illumines. So in this section, he through all this clarification, he says that it's impossible to attain liberation without understanding the illusionness of the world process. So so all this externalizations, everything that is a projection of the Brahman. So that has to be clearly understood for you to internalize this whole Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of self-realization, and that's through that self-inquiry one will get liberated.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
Uh, in section 8, Raghuji, again, there is a question answer going on, so I'll just quickly finish it. Lord Rama questions Sage Vashishta on how universe is no. So he thinks, he says the world is unreal and Brahman is real. So are you saying, what we see, all this physical existence is all unreal, and how Brahman is so subtle as is it's like a seed form, how it can become the illusory projection. So he starts further questioning on Sage Vashishta's response. So here he says that the sage explains that significance of the sea in this conversation explains the significance of the seer and the seen. The awareness of the world does not exist. All three periods of time will help to dissolve the impurities. All this is impurities. So he's saying, you have to negate neti neti, and through by negating all these impurities, you will in that process, realize the true self. So I think what I take from this conversation is Raghuji is uh, even for a Vyavaharic, in a transactional world, we won't attain. We are always behind objects, we were procuring so we have so much desire and passion towards something we want to do. And so Sage says here that same passion, desire, which is termed as mumukshuktam, is very important for self-realization. Is what I take from it.
Good. Very nice. Thank you. So the last
Correct.
chapter 8, is the great in the sense with a clear progression of thought from 6 to 7 to 8. I like the third paragraph. So as long as there is reality of the visible world, so long there is a seer. That means, oh, I am the seer, the world is the seen kind of attitude. And as long as there is a seer, there has to be a world which is seen. But if the seen is proven false, then the seer too will dissolve into unreality. And if the seer, the individual soul, is discovered as a mere reflection of the self in the stream of intellect, then the seen is bound to disappear from one's view. That means to withdraw, purify yourself from karma yoga and know that you are that Atman and continue to abide in that Atman, having withdrawn from the illusory world. So that is the nididhyasanam that one has to do constantly. Now we are going to chapter 9, characteristics of a liberated sage. Just like it says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, the last 18 verses about the Sthita Prajna Lakshanas. So we will see the uh, characteristics of a person who has attained moksha. So you want to
Uh,
read it?
Raghuji, I just have a conflicts on this. See here in earlier in the eight, we actually defined as even our ego or attachment is also a defects of mind, right? So in yesterday's that ego is a defects of the mind, and you have to accept it as it is.
Say, you have to understand the mind, the intellect, the chitta, the ahankara, ego, they are all one. So different aspects of it are given different names. Okay? And all of them constitute the jiva. As long as you identify with these four, and oh, I remember so many things, or I see this, I think, then you are still in the jiva. But if you remove your that mind from going out through the five senses and withdraw into itself and then you have no thought waves. That means the chitta is not working, the mind is not having any sankalpas. And then what happened? That reflection in the Atma, in the intellect or the Jiva, has nowhere to go. And then it identifies with that pure Atman. Hey, I am that Atman, I am not the Jiva.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Ravi.
Okay. Vishwa, you want to read, sir?
Hari Om Prabhuji. Yes, section 9, the characteristics of the liberated sage. Sage Vashishta continued, one who is ceaselessly devoted to Brahman, who exists for the sake of the self, who rejoices in talking about Brahman, and who is engaged in enlightening others about their essential nature, he attains liberation even in this life. Sri Rama asked, O sage, please explain to me the difference between Jivan Mukta, one liberated in life, and the Videha Mukta, one liberated after death, so that I may develop intuitional vision that is taught in the scriptures. Continue, Ravi.
Yeah, one more.
Sri, Sri Vashishta explained, one who continues to abide in the self even while engaged in actions that are in accord with the scriptures, who views the world as a reflection in the placid lake of consciousness, as an illusory projection. He is a Jivan Mukta, one liberated in life.
Yeah,
So,
comment?
okay. Yeah, I think as you mentioned, it talks about this, the qualities of this Siddha Pragnan, and I think as he talks about the one who is abided in Brahman throughout his life, talks and wants to uplift the society, and with that higher knowledge, he is always liberated throughout the life. So I think it talks about the two different muktis. So that's what we are discussing.
Yeah. I like that first paragraph. It says, the one who exists for the sake of the self, rejoices in talking about the Brahman, and who is engaged in enlightening others about their essential nature, he attains liberation even in this life. So, is talking about study and teach, study and teach, study and teach. So, all the satsangs are nothing but that process. So, we should never miss an opportunity to share our knowledge with others. Okay, uh, that is a great thing. So, only a person who has been able to share everything else in life, like wealth, the property, or his other worldly knowledge, and all that, who has learned to enjoy giving, 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 and then he will be so purified, then he continues to share this knowledge. As he shares this knowledge, he continues to be enlightened himself. Because even whatever the subtle desires he has in self, they continue to get dissolved. Why? Because he's constantly dwelling on the Atman. And so
So
that
Raghuji,
kind of a
sorry, Raghuji, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, that kind of a person, like Vashishta says in the third paragraph, though he is engaged in actions, okay, that are according to the scriptures, that means according to the dharma, okay. Just because he has a body, he has to continue to live, okay. And but he looks at the whole world as a reflection of that consciousness. That means he's not doing anything. It's just like if I am eating, I'm not doing for somebody else. Or if I'm breathing, I'm not doing for somebody else. If I'm circulation in the blood is going on, it is for this body. The same way that if whatever the actions that I do in the outside world, I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm just doing it because I am the whole world. So with that kind of an uh, understanding, his intellect becomes completely placid without any desires for the world, and that person is called Jivan Mukta.
So, Raghuji, Sri Ramanar and Gurudev, they both are Jivan Mukta, Sri. Even
Right,
though the way they attained in this life, is obviously based on their vasanas. But Ramanar happened in a very early stage. Gurudev probably took some more time because he had a different
yeah,
path in his life. But
right.
both are the Jivan Mukta, straight to.
Correct, correct. So it doesn't matter when you reach, whether you reach at the age of 90 or at the age of 9, once you reach it, you are. Only you look at the body and say, oh, he's 9-year-old, he reached Jivan Mukti, he is 90-year-old, he took 90 years to reach Jivan Mukti. That is, we are identifying with the body. Okay. But the realized person is not really identified with the body at all. He is identified with the pure Atman.
Yes, similar other incident is you always quote Nisargat Maharaj. Once the moment he realized he wanted to go to Himalaya, then he said, "Wherever I am there, I'm going to be realized." So he came back
Correct,
and lived in the
correct.
slums. And
Yeah. So it shows, the story of Nisargadatta Maharaj shows the importance of Shraddha in the Guru. Whatever the Guru says is true. And fortunately for him, he had a realized master tell him and teach him, and then uh, student was also apparently ready. Okay. And so the right guru with the right student, the student attains moksha. So that's the reason reading the life stories of great people like that also purifies our antakarana and creates more interest in our sadhana. So,
very true.
okay. So we'll continue. Vishwa is finished, and now we'll go back all the way to Akila Amma is here today. No, Anjaneyulu, sir. You want to read?
Yeah,
Next.
sure.
Next.
Hariom Raghuji.
Hariom, sir.
Yeah. Though active and cheerful in daily life, yet he is rooted in the realization that he doesn't perform or enjoy any action. He is essentially the divine self. His face doesn't bloom with joy during prosperity, nor does it wither with cold frost of adversity. He is ever contented with the whatever he receives in accordance with his fructifying karmas from the past. He sleeps peacefully in the self, yet he is ever awake, having conquered the sleep of ignorance. The normal waking state of consciousness, characterized by the perceptions of the senses and mind, has been negated by his intuitional vision. Therefore, he is no longer awake to the world. So, the characteristics of the Siddhapajna of our Bhagavad Gita second chapter is given. Sukha Dukkha Samakrutva, both is equal to the both joy and sorrow. And also, uh, he sleeps peacefully and it is awake, having conquered the sleep. Avidya has been conquered, the working state, and related by intuition. Therefore, he is no longer awake to the world. His Jagat Mityatva aspect has been ascertained by him. So he is Sthitaprajna and he is free from dwandas of the world.
Right. Yeah.
Around.
Yeah. Since uh, since he has that equanimity in all circumstances in the waking state, naturally his sleep also has to be peaceful, because we carry all the agitations of the waking state to the sleep state, and so we cannot sleep. But if you have that equanimity, always abiding in the Atman during the waking state, okay, it has to reflect in the sleep. And being uh, awake to that state of aham brahmasmi, that ignorance is gone, and even the deep sleep is almost like a what do you call the turiya for that person. Very nice. Okay, Ashwin here today? Ashwin not here. Dr. Noli Garu, you want to read, sir, next 3 paragraphs?
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om, sir.
He maintains the practical realities of the world by expressing apparent attachment, concern, like and dislike, even as a skilled actor must play his part dispassionately. In reality, he abides in the self that is free from all modifications and changes. One who has no egoism and who develops neither the sense of doership towards the performance of actions, nor the sense of non-doership towards the non-performance of actions, he is a liberated soul. Having removed the veil of ignorance, he is able to see the 3 worlds, both arising from the self, being negated by the self. He is ever balanced in his inward vision of the self.
Yeah.
Well, he is actually in the first para. That's very interesting. For the practical realities, he appears as he is attached to the worldly things, concerns, likes and dislikes, and all those things, but just like a skilled actor. But he abides in the self all the time without any modifications and changes.
Yeah.
And in the second para, he was talking about he has no egoism, and that's why he doesn't have the doership or, enjoyership. And in the third para, he was talking about because he removed the veil of ignorance, he sees all 3 worlds arising from the self. So in other words, he sees everything the self and negated the self by the self.
Yeah.
He's ever balanced inward vision of self.
Yeah. Beautiful. Very nice. So the second paragraph is almost like a summary of the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where the person continues to do the actions, but since he is abiding in his Atman, though the body is acting, then he is a I am a karta, a bhokta attitude. Okay. So that he has complete dispassion in the all the actions and the results. And
I think that's the same thing in yesterday's Ashtavakra. That Jodhiji was actually talking about action and inaction and
correct.
inaction in action. The example of sun and the cycle of rain, right? So that.
Correct. And so the third paragraph says, since though he is acting just like any other person in the world, okay, but he knows that all these 3 states, waking, dream, and deep sleep states, are completely illusory. Because waking is not in the dream is not in the deep sleep state, but the one that is present in all the 3 states is the pure Atman Aham. And so I alone am real, not the 3 states. So
Raghuji, in the second para, actually, when he says this, he doesn't feel that he is doing the thing and he is also non-doer of non-performance. That means he's transcended both the actions.
correct. Right. He's transcended the BMI, and so he's not identified with whatever the BMI is doing.
He's doing or not doing.
Correct. Thank you. Dinesh is not here. Emma is not here. Karpagam here today. What happened today? And Mano Naidu, you want to read?
Dinesh is here.
Oh, sure. Okay. Go ahead, Dinesh.
Karpagam is here.
Where is that?
He is right there.
Okay. Something is happening to Raghu. Okay, let us go with Dinesh first.
Can you just record it?
Okay, sir.
Want me to start?
Yes, sir.
One who does not cause fear in others, and in whom others do not cause fear, who is unaffected by the conditions that would normally cause joy, anger, and fear, he is a Jivan Mukta, a liberated says. Having discovered the self as the basis of the objects that cause attachment in the ignorant, a sage is free of all attachments. The fever of attachment does not torment his mind. When the mind subsides,
When the
the
wind
same,
subsides.
when the wind subsides, thank you, the same air creates a normal atmosphere. In the same way, when the body is discarded, Jivan Mukta becomes a Videha Mukta automatically. Jivan Mukti is liberation in life, while Videha Mukti is the same state when the body is discarded.
Yeah.
So there is a difference between the Jivan Mukta and the Videha Mukta. The difference is that once the body is is no longer there, then both are the same thing, correct?
Say it again.
When the body is no longer there, then the Jivan Mukti, Mukta and Videha Mukta is the same thing.
No, Jivan Mukta becomes a Videha Mukta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jivan Mukta, even though he is living, he already left the identification with the body, though.
Right.
So he has the body, but he's not really identifying with the body.
Yeah. Yeah. These are all just the names for us. So you can call himself a Videha Mukta as long as you understand what you are meaning, even when he's alive. Hey, I am Mukta. I don't have any body, but all the bodies are my bodies. Okay. So if he looks at it that way, he is a Videha Mukta. But normally the definition is yes. As long as this body is there, that person is called a Jivan Mukta. When the body drops, since all the vasanas have been burnt up, he does not take any more births. That's why he's called the Videha Mukta.
So that means he merges with the Lord, with the Atman. Is that it?
Yes, because he is already what do you call absorbed in the Lord. Meaning, he's not really absorbed in the sense, but he was never separate. It was just an ignorance. Because of ignorance, he thought he was a separate jiva. Okay. Now he says, "Oh, now I am one. They have become one with the Bhagavan." So these are all semantics, but in reality, it is just a knowledge. Knowledge. I thought I was bound. Now I know I am not bound. I have always been a complete pure Brahman. So.
Raghuji, I think one example in the first para, it talks about one who does not cause fear in others and in whom others do not cause fear. It reminds me, Swami Tapanand Maharaj, when he was traveling alone, then he gets interrupted by thieves. They try to, then they realize after seeing him there, he stays calm and then they bow down to him,
Yeah, yeah. You are talking about Tapan Maharaj in the Himalayas.
Right.
But when he was going, actually he was hungry for 3 days, and the robbers come and ask him for whatever that he has to rob him. But he said, "Well, I don't have anything." And then after talking to him and all that, realized they gave him a part of their own food. Uh, so you can say that is the characteristic of a Jivan Mukta. Like in the original book, it says, Yasman, just like it says in Bhagavad Gita, Yasmanno dvijate lokaha, lokanno dvijate shayaha, harshamarshavayo muktaha, sa jivan muktasta uchyate. So that is the translation of the first paragraph you just read. So, very nice. So now we go to Karpagam.
A liberated sage sees the illusionaries in the objects of the world. Therefore, though appearing to possess a body, from the point of the ignorant, he really has no body. And though appearing to have a mind, he is far beyond the mind. Having attained Videha Mukti, liberation without the body, he does not suffer from birth and death. There is no rising and setting of his consciousness. He goes beyond all the limited concepts of the mind. He is neither manifest nor non-manifest, neither near nor far, neither peaceful nor agitated. He becomes the sun and bathes the earth with the light and warmth. He becomes Lord Vishnu and sustains the world. Having become Brahma, he creates the world. Assuming the form of Shiva, he destroys it. Adopting the form of the sky, the ether element, he sustains the winds and gives spaciousness to all living beings.
Want to comment?
So I think once he becomes with Videha Mukta, he merged into the total mind or something. That's why
Yes,
I
yes. He is absorbed into the total Brahman,
Brahman.
the absolute Brahman. So that's the reason I think we have read, I think previously, that a liberated person is glorified even by the gods like Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. So that the same thing is said here in the third paragraph you read, that he has become Brahman. And if Vishnu is meditating on his in Vaikuntha on Adishesha, what it should be meditating on? On that Brahman. Okay. Shiva is meditating. What is Shiva meditating on? On Brahman. Okay. And this Jiva has become one with that Brahman, identified with that Brahman. And so, same Brahman has become Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. So that's the implication that I see in the third paragraph. It's not that the Raghu, having become realized, he starts creating his own Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Having identified with the Brahman, then whatever the whole creation is happening from Brahman, that is happening from him. So that's the reason if I meditate on Chinmayanda Swamiji, okay, though Chinmayanda Swamiji has become one with the Brahman, okay, if a devotee continues to intensely meditate on Brahman as with this particular form, let us say Chinmayanda Swamiji or Ramana Maharshi or any guru, and that Brahman will take that form of Chinmaya Swamiji or Ramana Maharshi and continue to guide that person, because I am still identified with the name and form, and Bhagavan takes the name and form and continues to guide you. So, who is guiding you? You might say, oh, Chinmaya Swamiji is guiding me. But the thing is, what is happening is that Brahman himself is guiding me in the name of Chinmaya Swamiji for me. So, it's not that Chinmaya Swamiji is sitting somewhere still waiting for us. So, okay, Mano Amma, you want to continue, Amma?
Okay. He becomes the earth and sustains all living beings. He manifests through the creepers, bushes, and trees and gives rise to numerous fruits for all living beings. He becomes water, the giver of life, as well as fire that is all consuming. He rains nectar since he has become the moon, but he also produces virulent poison that destroys all. He becomes the light that reveals the directions as well as the darkness that engulfs all manifested objects in the ocean of obscurity. He becomes void in the form of the sky, and he becomes invisible, having taken the form of the mountains standing against the raging winds. Sri Rama asked, O sage, if he becomes all that is in this world, how is it that he is not worldly? How is it that he does not fall a prey to the wheel of birth and death? In these three paragraphs, actually continuing from the one you explained, Raghuji, he is just continuing the life and the sustaining the life and the, destroying the, how to say it? Darkness. Yeah. He is talking about the earth and how he gets all those fruits for living for everyone through the bushes and the trees and the creepers. And he is the water, he gives life at the same time. He is the fire that he consumes, and he rains nectar at the same time. He produces virulent poison. The same thought process he gives in the next paragraph also, by the being the light giving directions, and darkness that engulfs all manifested objects becomes void and in the form of the sky and all that. And so the third paragraph is where Rama is asking sage Vashishta, if he is like this and he becomes all that in this world, how is it that he is not worldly? And how is it that is does not fall prey to this wheel of birth and death? So he wants to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Raghuji, I had a question. Those two paragraphs, is that an explanation about Brahman,
Yeah,
Raghuji?
exactly. So the thing is, once he has become with Brahman, and so whatever happening in the society, in the world here, or whatever you read in the scriptures about the Brahman created, then he can claim that I created this world. So if one of the realized masters say, "Oh, I was the Rama, I was the Krishna, I am the Shiva," if he claims, then he may say, "Hey, he has a big ego." He says, "Oh, he was born as a Rama." But we have to understand that when I say I was Rama, I as the Brahman was taken the birth as Rama. I was taken Krishna or Shiva. So like that, he's talking from that high level of identified with Brahman. So I'm reading this another paragraph from the other original book. It says, whatever is shining in this universe, or whatever was or is to be, so in any of the three, past, present, and future times, know them all, O Rama, as forms of the divine spirit, which is free to take any shape it likes. And that I have become, one has to understand. I have become that, and whatever the things are happening in the whole world is nothing but me. So only when we come to that stage when we understand, I guess.
This is exactly even Sri Ramakrishna, where even in the last few couple of years, before he died, Vivekananda keep still, not believing. He was checking all these things, and he tells to Vivekananda, whatever you are thinking of that Rama and Krishna, they both are here.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So people have to understand what he is talking about. So it's just like Shirdi Baba said once that one of the devotees wanted to go to Ganga and take a bath in the Triveni, and he said, "Your Ganga and Yamuna are right here." And as he said that, right from his feet, the two streams of water started flowing like that. And so once you have that realized master as your guru, you don't have to go for pilgrimage anywhere. You don't have to do anything. You serve him, serve him, serve him, and listen to him and purify yourself. So, okay, we'll continue on. Maya, you want to continue, read them?
Hari Om. Sri Vashishta explained, if the world were a reality, a sage would become worldly after identifying himself with the entire world. But, O Rama, this world is unreal. To say that a sage is aware of becoming all this is only a figurative expression of his unwordfulness. Is there any real difference between various golden ornaments? Don't they have the same basic reality, gold? Are the waves in any way different from the ocean? Can air in motion, wind be essentially different from the still air? In the same way, the world is not different from the self. When the created universe is withdrawn during pralaya, the great universal deluge, the self alone exists. That self is beyond all mental concepts. It is called Sat, absolute existence. From a symbolic point of view, in fact, it is neither light nor darkness, neither seen nor unseen, neither existence nor non-existence.
Yeah.
So here, Vashishji is explaining to Rama is that he has become he knows that the Jivan Mukta or Videha Mukta knows from inside that world is not real. So he can become anything as he's saying as a figurative expression because he knows this world is not real.
Right.
So whatever exists, he can become that. And then the second paragraph, he said that is just like any ornament is not different from the gold. And same thing, the waves are not different from the ocean, and neither the air is any motion wind or clean air is not different than the still air. So then he says that when the created universe withdrawn during pralaya, is only the Sat, self exists. And self is beyond mental concept. And there's no neither light or dark, is just neither seen or unseen. It's just Sat exists.
Yeah.
Hari Om.
Yeah. The Brahman is compared to the light. If you compare the ignorance to darkness. But when the light comes, the darkness goes away. But in the presence of consciousness, the ignorance goes away, but the same consciousness, what do you call, witnesses the darkness without removing the darkness. It witnesses the light without darkening the light or anything. Okay. So it is because of which all these so-called the concepts of light, darkness, or names and forms exist. But in reality, that pure existence alone exists. And we give all these names. Oh, it is existence. Oh, it is consciousness. Oh, it is bliss. All related to our own worldly experiences, not by itself. It has no name, no form. Best expression for that is pure silence. Okay.
Raghuji, a question on this. See, it says that right, self is beyond all mental concepts. As a human, see, all whatever we understand and realize is actually we uses our mind and intellect to understand that, correct?
Right.
So
The mind cannot
com-
experience it, the eyes cannot see it, the ears cannot hear it, but just like the Kena Upanishad says, it is because of which the mind thinks, it is because of which the eyes see, because of which the ears hear. But the ears cannot see, the eyes, I'm sorry, ears cannot hear, eyes cannot see, mind cannot think. That's why it's called it's mind of the mind, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, because it's because of which all these organs are able to function. That's why Taittiriya Upanishad beautifully says the mind and the speech come back without reaching it, meaning without being able to objectify it. Okay. So there's a
Raghuji,
yes, sir.
what is that, Sanskrit words they say here, but in the last third para, it says, it is all sat from a symbolic point of view. In fact, it is neither light nor darkness, neither seen nor unseen, neither existence nor existence. What did the actual Sanskrit say that one? How? Can you read it?
Okay, let me see which one are we talking about. Uh, which paragraph is it? I'm trying to see it. Which page is it?
This is 194.
194.
Yeah.
When the created universe is withdrawn during Pralaya.
Okay, I could not find it. I could not find it in the original book, that particular sloka. The only thing that I could read is, as a vacuity abides in the air, and water appears in the burning deserts, and as there is light spread over all creation, so is the spirit of Brahma manifest in the three worlds in the forms of the very worlds. And he says another one, Kayeta Jagnayate Yuktya. He says, say by what mode of reasoning this truth may be known or ascertained, and this being accomplished, there remains nothing else to be inquired into. So it is something that you intuitively experience, if you can use the word experience, that I am that in the state of deep nirvikalpa samadhi, or just by reasoning, by understanding the scriptures, that I am that consciousness, which is the foundation for all the three states: waking, dream, and sleep.
No, the only reason I asked for that one is, see, the way he described in this para, I thought it is almost like what the Buddhists say, shunyam.
Yeah. Yes, so that's the problem, that I read sloka by sloka and compared here. Some of this sloka, some of this paragraph, I can identify with the particular sloka, and these four verses, last two verses in page 134, and the first two paragraphs in 195, I could not identify with any particular verse. So. Okay, Maya I finished. Chansyama is not here. Nag is not here. And Padmaja not here. And Rakesh Kumarji, want to read, sir?
Yes, Hari Om. It is fuller of fullness than fullness itself. It is pure consciousness, infinite, eternal, without beginning or end, causeless, and free of all modifications. It is devoid of eyes, ears, hands, feet, and all the senses and limbs that belong to an embodied soul. The self into which the world dissolves during pralaya exists as the innermost reality in the every human being. The light that illumines the mind of a person is infinitely more luminous than the sun. It is by the light of the indwelling self that the sunshine and universe manifest like mirages in desert sands. The three words are nothing but the same self in a state of vibration. When the mystic vibration subsides, the self abides in its essential nature. Devoid of the three words, both the manifestations and the dissolution of the word are but mere sports of the self. In fact, the self is non dual, perfect, and absolute. Hari Om. Continue the same thought, talking about the fullness and the fullness. He says is pure consciousness. He says infinite, eternal, without beginning, without end, causeless. And he said like a Brahman, devoid of the eyes, ears, hands, feet, because it is embodied soul. And second paragraph is talking about self, into which the word dissolves during pralaya, exists the innermost reality in every human being, saying the light that illumines the mind of a person is infinitely more luminous than the sun. It's talking about that sun shines and universes manifest like mirages in the desert and sand, what we see into the desert mirages. And they talk about the third paragraph, the three words are nothing but the same self in the state of vibration.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's talking about the vibration subsides, the self abides in its essential nature. Devoid of three words. And he's talking about this is merely a sport of the self. In fact, self is non dual, perfect, and absolute.
Yeah. In the Upadesha Sara, there's one of the verses near the end. It says, Kim Swarupame Atma Swarupam and Apurna Chit Sukham, like that. What is this nature? Apurna. It's not even Purna, Apurna, indicating it's overfull, flowing with fullness, meaning it is infinite. So, so that's why he said fullness, fuller than the fullness. So eternal, uh, infinite in time, infinite in space, infinite in objects. So, the thing is, we call infinite, but really, what happens? Our mind cannot really conceive even that infinity. The mind should become completely blind to it. So,
But there is one line saying that it exists as the innermost reality in every human being.
yeah, exactly. Not only every human being, every even little creature like amoeba or an insect. So, and Brahmaji. So that's why it's a, if you say, understand, the same Atman that is present in you is present in a realized person. And the same Atman is present in Brahmaji, this Atman is present in even in a insect. And so if we can see that in our mental mind, that same Atman present in everything, how can we ever think of non-violence and think of violence? Okay. So naturally we become completely non-violent and loving. Okay. And Radina Ratnachan, not here today. Ratnama, you want to read?
Hari Om. Though devoid of speech, the self is the source of all eloquence. Though without the mind, the self is the only thinker. Though ever satisfied, it is the self that enjoys various objects through various living beings. Though beyond all actions, it is the self that performs all actions through the instrumentality of the minds and senses of innumerable personalities. When the self is not known, there manifest the illusory snakes of the world process. But when the self is known, all the illusions vanish. The self that I discover as the basis of my being is also discovered by you as the basis of your being. In fact, the self is neither I, nor you, nor they. O Rama, all the objects of the world are essentially the self. The very mind with the help of which you know the object of this world is essentially the self. The reality that underlies the triad of see, seen, and sight is the self. Here, Swamiji, Sage Vashishta is explaining how everything we see in this world is all the self. It is all pure consciousness, pure Brahman. But whoever gives the idea of that this is identifies with the body, mind, and speech, they are the one who recognizes actually in reality everything is Brahman, the self, and that pure consciousness. Hari Om.
Yeah. Just like in Kaivalya Upanishad, it says it doesn't have any ears, but it can hear. It doesn't have the eyes, it can see. Meaning that it is because of which the eyes can see, it is because of which the ears can hear, it is because of which the tongue can taste, it is because of which the nose can smell. And all the experiences are possible only because of that Atman. Otherwise, the BMI is completely inert. There's no experience possible. And so, in a way, that it is that who is the knower and enjoyer, but at the absolute level, but there's nothing to be enjoyed. And like it says in the last paragraph, the seer, seen, and sight, everything is me. And so, what is there for me to see or seeing? So, the throughput at the absolute level, there's no triputi, there's no duality. Okay. Sarvesh ji, you want to continue, sir?
Hari Om. Section 10, the paradoxical description of Brahman. Sri Rama asked, O sage, how is it that the Sat, pure existence, that remains during the dissolution of the world process cannot be described as mere void? How is it that this absolute existence cannot be described as light or darkness? In what way is the self different from the individual soul? Why can it not be identified with the intellect? And Sri Vashishta explains, Dear Rama, just as the sun dispels darkness, so I will dispel your doubts with the light of wisdom. First, I will explain to you why the pure existence of the self cannot be described as void. The marble rock contains within it the statue that an artist is able to create by the process of cutting and chiseling. In the same way, the world evolves out of Brahman. You cannot describe the marble rock as devoid of statues, nor can you describe it as full of statues. In the same way, Brahman cannot be described as devoid of the world process, nor can he be described as coexistence with world process. A wave that has subsided a wave that has subsided in a serene lake has neither existence nor non-existence. You cannot say that a world that has merged in Brahman through destruction does not exist, nor can you say that it does exist. Therefore, the world is a product of indescribable Maya, the cosmic illusion. So, this is a beautiful explanation. The question also is great that Sri Rama is asking how the absolute existence cannot be described as any particular light or darkness or any different from individual soul. So Sri Vashishta is explaining to Rama just that he says that just like a marble rock contains the statue in them, and the artist can bring out the form and the beauty in it. So you cannot describe a marble rock as a devoid of any beauty or any statues in it. In the same way, Brahman cannot be described as devoid of world processes.
Yeah.
So he gives another example saying the wave that has subsided in a serene lake has neither existence nor non-existence. So it does exist in the lake, and we say that therefore the world is a product of indescribable Maya.
Yeah. All of them do not have any independent existence apart from their base. Like the wave has no existence beyond water, and the statue doesn't have any existence beyond the rock, out of the rock. And same way, the world is not capable of having existence beyond the consciousness. Why? The consciousness is all pervading, and there is no place where there is no consciousness, and it has to come out of consciousness or existence.
So he's gone to the pure existence discussion from the previous one was for consciousness, I think.
Right. So anybody else want to add? Okay, Shobhana Amma is not here. Sirisha, Sudhirji, you want to read, sir?
Hi, yes. You may object the different forms are hewn out of a rock by an artist with the help of various instruments. But how can the world be evolved out of Brahman in the absence of material instruments such as time, space, and the various material objects? In fact, from the point of view of absolute truth, this world does not arise from Brahman, nor does it subside in Brahman. The world is illusory, like a dream. Its appearance and disappearance are real only with relation to the illusory mind of the individual. Void and not void are relative terms sustained by the concepts of the mind. Brahman is beyond the reach of the mind. Therefore, he cannot be described with is or is not. You want to continue this?
No? You want to comment?
Yeah, I think continuing to that earlier discussion about the Brahman, the existence, the example actually they quoted about a statue out of a marble. Then he is questioning. Yeah, of course it can be, but then the real it is Sri Rama is asking about the importance of without time, space, and other material, without those kind of an instrument, the existence of he's actually questioning the Brahman, right?
Right.
So, but here it says that then the other point is actually Sage Vasishta is actually bringing it is about the truth, the real truth of like that world is an illusory. In an illusory world, whatever is happened is actually in an illusion. So there, that in appearance and disappearance, real only in relation to the illusory mind. How you actually looking at it.
Right.
So, I mean, I was just thinking of an example of a magician is doing a magic, and for people who really don't know the real truth is a trick, it actually looks like an illusion. It's like something magic happened. But a person who really know the trick behind is actually for him, it is not an illusion. It's a real fact. Right. So similar way, as human beings, and we think that it is all. We don't know the real truth behind the world. So we think that it is real, but it is an illusion. So a realized person who really know the trick of this world will see that it is an illusion. So then this marble is not there, or else even the statue is also not there. So that is what I understood.
Yeah. So for us, the rock is real, and in Vyavaharic life, the rock is real. But from an absolute point of view, there is no rock. Meaning there is no name and form. And from the absolute point of view, there is no world. So if you say, oh, this world was created by Bhagavan, and so what was the material cause? What is the instrumental cause? So he being conscious, he should be a efficient cause. So from what the scripture says, for ordinary mind to understand, oh, Brahman himself is the material cause. Brahman himself created it out of his thought. Not he doesn't need any instruments like a potter needing a potting wheel, and he needs a clay as a material cause. And but Brahman doesn't need anything. That we say that Ishvara created out of his Maya power. But from an absolute point of view, when the person becomes more intellectual and understanding, then he'll understand nothing has come out of Brahman in reality. That's what we call the Ajatavada. That Brahman alone is, everything is illusory. There's no real existence of anything other than Brahman. Just like there is no, if somebody saw a snake, then he said, oh, the snake ran away. The snake got back into the rope. The snake moved away, things like that. But nothing has happened because snake was never there. So, very good. And Uma, you want to read, Amma?
It is the light of Brahman unfolding itself through the intuitive intellect that brings forth the revelation of Brahman. It is Brahman who attains realization of Brahma by his own light. Though Brahman is an inexhaustible treasure containing the wealth of innumerable worlds, yet Brahman is as pure as the heart of the sky. Earthen parts exist in potter's clay, and a pungent hot taste exists in hot chili. It is the same way the world exists in Brahman. The external objects of the senses as well as internal perceptions of the mind are essentially Brahman.
Want to comment?
I didn't understand this one. It is Brahman who attains the realization of Brahman by his own light.
Yeah. It's Brahman who had thought by ignorance, I am the Jiva. He alone realizes, oh, I am Brahman, I am not the Jiva. So,
But they're not talking about the real Brahman, right?
oh yeah, real Brahman. I am real Brahman. But because of ignorance, I'm thinking, oh, I am this Raghu. Okay. Then I realize, hey, I am not this Raghu, I am this real Brahman.
I think this is actually Raghuji, that story about a lion actually adopted by a goat, and initially the lion and the lion was actually living in the goat along with the goat. Then a lion thought it's a goat, he is a goat, and later he was actually trying to become a goat, act like a goat. Then later some another lion actually comes and take him to the what is that called,
River.
river. So that story, I just remember that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like in a guru is actually taking us and showing it the real truth, right?
So Raghuji, from the Vada perspective, so are we, if you from last section to this section, is it, can we say it's from Ekajiva Vada to, all three Vadas are discussed here, from Bahujiva, Ekajiva to Ajata Vada?
Yes, if you look at it now, Bahujiva Vada, that is like the what you call the dualists, or the what you call forget all these names. Dvaita philosophy. Okay, there are all these numerous jivas. Okay.
Yeah, because
According to
even Lord Rama creates, has the doubt, right? Like, hey, if this world is, looks like the world is real and I'm different from this. Now, I'm not the Brahman.
yeah, right.
He
That is the say. Rama has assumed ignorance and uh, is said to be being in what you call enlightened by Vashishta Rishi. Okay. Only after this process, then he becomes enlightened, and then he lives an enlightened life with equanimity. But even with that equanimity, that he does express anger or sorrows and things like that. But that is from a Vyavaharic point of view that he does. But in spite of all that, inside that he always remained equanimous. That's why he was able to make decisions, right decisions. That's why people say, hey, you have to live like Rama. Uh, because in spite of all the circumstances being the same, but he was able to keep his equanimity in general, though he, as a body, he went through ups and downs of life. So, anybody want to add?
Yeah, I think Vishtaji is actually question. I mean, yeah, I think it is actually going from Bahujiva Vada to finally with Ajada Vada, correct? So it
Yeah,
is saying that it is all illusory. There is nothing is there. Earlier we talked about Jivan Mukta, Videha Mukta. Now we are actually talking about illusion, right?
right. Yeah, so, right. So that's why you will see all those thought processes in a book like Yoga Vashishta. Okay. You see all the stories, you see all these various world creations and everything, and then you say, oh, all of them are unreal. Okay, yes. You have to see from the 3 points of view. Okay. from the Vyavaharic point of view and the Paramarthic point of view, and in between the two, Pratibhasik point of view, that the whole discussion is going on. And in and through all that, then we have to clearly understand, hey, all my questions, even if I didn't have questions, all these discussions, now I understand. And so, from the absolute point of view, there's only one Brahman, Satchit Ananda Atma, that Aham Asmi. As if there's only one Brahman, where do I exist? I cannot exist as Raghu, and the world cannot exist as with so many names and forms. There's only one absolute pure Atman, and that all the jivas are nothing but that Brahman. In spite of seeing thousands and thousands of ornaments in a gold shop, then they're nothing but gold alone. Veenaji is not here today. Vijay is not here again. And Vishwa, you want to read, sir?
Sorry, Amrut. It is Brahman who manifests in three states of consciousness: waking, dream, and deep sleep. At the same time, however, he ever abides in his transcendental glory. Just as mighty waves exist in a latent form in a quiet ocean, so numerous worlds exist latent in Brahman. It is from the fullness of Brahman that the soul, which remains essentially full, arises with the apparent limitation. When the limitations born of ignorance are removed by wisdom, the soul discovers its essential fullness and becomes one with the Absolute. Continue, Raghuji.
Okay, read one more.
The world too proceeds from the fullness of the self. The fullness of the self. Therefore, it is essentially full. How can anything but fullness proceed from that which is full? In fact, this illusory world is always Brahman, the embodiment of fullness. When all illusions is removed, what remains is the fullness of the Absolute.
Comment?
I think it's self-explanatory, and it says Brahman is all-pervading, and that's the absolute state. Like from one to many, like as the different vadas talk about, as they negate further, it, the ground reality is, it's all one absolute state, which is Brahman.
Right. So, like the one that you read about, the world proceeds from the fullness, that I am reading from that sloka from the original book. It says, Purnat Purnam Prasarati. Yattat Purnam Nirakruti. Brahmano Vishwamabhatam. Tadhi Swartha Vichakshitam. He says, from the fullness of the divine soul, Brahma, proceeds the fullness of the living soul, Jivatma, which is formless also. The aspect of Brahma is said to be owing to the purpose of manifesting himself as living in all living beings. Purnat Purnam Prasarate Samsthitam Purnameva Tat Ato Vishwamanutpannam Yachotpannam Tadeva Tato. He says, so the totality of the worlds proceeding from the plenum of Brahma, there remains the same sun, total also as the plenitude of the Brahma himself. He goes on to say, considering the world as synonymous with Brahma in our minds, we find their identity. So one finds by taste the pepper and its pugnancy to be the same thing. So just like we sing that chant, that mantra, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. This whole world, Purnam, and that Brahman is Purnam. From that Purnam, this Purnam has come, and when this has come, that Purnam completely remains. Why? Because this Purnam or world is nothing but an illusory appearance on that Brahman. Nothing really has come out. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Basically, if you look at it, what you just said with respect to the fullness of the Brahman, this Mother Earth and all these planets and all the beings, they came from that fullness and they eventually merge with that. It's like we are all so many, we are 7+ billion people on this planet. Eventually, we will all merge into the Brahman, the big Brahman, right? Let's say. Though we came from Brahman, and potentially we can be Brahman once we realize and gain this knowledge and experiences. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we will all go back to the big Brahman, which some people call the nothingness. This empty place.
Right. Yeah. Empty from the point of view of names and forms, but from that emptiness, all this world could not have come. Just like a snake cannot be seen without something like a rope or a garland sitting there. The same way that all this world of names and forms could not have come from Shunya. That's why it's called is not called Shunya. It is fullness with no name and form.
Basically, on that, we cannot say that we are actually going back, right? We say that we realize that we are that, right? That's how we should be interpreting, correct?
Exactly. That ultimately all this discussion should subside, and your mind and your thoughts that should absorb into that fullness and remain there. That's the only final solution.
Yeah, Brahman is all pervading.
Yeah. So let us finish this paragraph, this chapter, then we'll understand a little better, I guess, hopefully. Anjaneyulu, you want to finish, sir? Or read the next 3 paragraphs?
I am speaking. When the mirror is removed, there is no reflection. In the same way, when the mind is removed, there is a cessation of the reflected self, the jiva, and the realization of the supreme self. The concept of size and shape applied to the soul, but not to the self. The self is subtler than an atom and purer than the clear blue sky. It cannot be limited by time, space, and causation. There is neither beginning nor middle nor end of the supreme reality. The pure self exists without the functions of the intellect, mind, senses, and subtle desires. It is unaffected by the illusions of birth and death.
Yeah. Let Nuligaru go out and finish the rest of it. Balakrishna Garu.
Yes, sir. During Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the world does not exist. With the cessation of the seed, the world process, the seer ceases to exist. The triads, seer, seen, and sight, and knower, known knowledge do not exist in Brahman. The jiva consciousness that exists during the absence of Nirvikalpa Samadhi subsides in Brahman during Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In fact, all this is pure, taintless, homogeneous Brahman. When the illusion of objectivity are removed from the perceiving chitta, the total mind, then the objectified consciousness in the form of the world process becomes resolved into pure consciousness. Chitta, devoid of the triad of the seer, seen, and sight, becomes chit, pure consciousness. Should I finish?
Yes, sir.
That which illumines the three bodies and the five sheets is Brahman. He abides in the innermost depths of all beings and objects, and he surges like the ocean when disturbed by the numerous thought waves of the mind. When the illusion of the world process is removed by the realization of the self, Brahman shines forth in his essential glory, devoid of the world process, pure consciousness, existence, knowledge, and bliss.
Comment? Any of it?
You see, because during Nirukalp Samadhi, there is no world that exists, because everything is, cessation, and in the Brahman, there is no triad. And when once the Jiva consciousness exists during the absence of the Samadhi, Nirukalp Samadhi, the pure, taintless, homogeneous Brahman is the only reality. And the illusion of the objectivity are removed from the perceived. When once all these delusions or illusions are removed, the chitta becomes chit, the pure consciousness.
Yeah. So it's all, just like it says, like the mirror, it is the mind through which, when it's reflected, just like when white, clear light goes through a prism, the various different colors appear, and when the pure consciousness reflected in the mind, then you see the whole world of multiplicity. And when the mind withdraws itself and becomes completely quiet, the world is withdrawn. And the only thing that remains is mind is like a wave, and there's no wave, and so there is no world process. That is, you can call it as a pralaya or deep sleep, depending on the cosmic or the individual level. So, very good. So it's nice chapters talking about the pure Brahman as existence, consciousness, and from various points of view, and that way, that the only thing that we have to keep that in mind is all this multiplicity is there, but the cause for that efficient and material cause is nothing but that Brahman, that Aham Asmi. If we can continue to carry that all our life, 24 hours, 7, every minute, then we become realized. So, anybody want to make a last comment?
No, Raghuji, one question is that when the illusion of objectivity are removed from perceiving chitta, then the bracket is total mind. That is not the mind of us, right?
Right. The total mind is the Hiranyagarbha.
Hiranyagarbha. Okay. Then, so that means initial thing is our mind has to be, as like the mind is removed from our mind is removed, then we will merge into the chitta. Then from there we have to what is that called, devoid of this triad will take you to the pure consciousness. That is a progression.
Say it again.
So so initially saying that we have to when the mind is removed, okay, that means there is a cessation of the reflected self, the jiva.
Right.
And that really, then it will have then you will realize the supreme self.
Right.
Then that is actually the situation that we call it as this. That is what is the total mind. When you say remove this reflected mind, then we realize that it is the reflected mind. Then the objectified consciousness in the form of the world process becomes resolved into the pure consciousness.
Right.
Then we remove the chitta devoid of this triad, that will become the pure consciousness. So this is the three set of this thing: our mind, then total mind, then the pure consciousness. That is a progression?
In a way, yes. But when you realize that you are not this individual mind, okay, and you are the total. From the total, you go beyond. I am not even the total mind. I am that pure consciousness. So that is the verse in the Kathopanishad, the two verses that talk about it. So you go beyond. You go beyond the world of objects, and go beyond the senses, and then go beyond the mind, go beyond the intellect, go beyond the total intellect, and then final is the supreme Brahman, beyond which there is nothing. So probably I will look for that sloka from Kathopanishad in the next class.
Thank you, Raghuji.
Okay, I just want to remind before we close that we will start from next Tuesday instead of Thursdays, same 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Okay, so I sent a message by WhatsApp and also by emails, and I'm going to send it once more as a reminder for everybody. Okay. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Hari Om, everybody.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om, everyone. Hari Om, Raghuji.
Hari Om, everyone.
See you all next Tuesday. Okay.
Hari Om, Raghuji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
నేను వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్ లో లేదండి.
ఏమే
నా పేరు నేను లేదు వాట్సాప్ లో.
WhatsApp, no? Yeah, I will put your name in the WhatsApp.
ఓకే, థ్యాంక్స్ అండి.
Did you get the email, right?
ఓ యా యా.
Okay. Yeah, I will put your name in the Parthas of Atlanta, the name of the WhatsApp group. I will put your name.
ఓకే
Okay.
ఓకే ఓకే
Okay.
ఓకే.
Hari Om.
మళ్ళా ఇది టైం ఉందండి మీకు?
చెప్పండి.
అదే ఇది ట్యూస్డే కదా, వెన్స్డే జ్యోతిజీ క్లాస్ లో షీ వాస్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ ది సన్, రైన్, ఎవాపరేషన్ అదంతా చేస్తా ఉంటారు కదా. అప్పుడు షీ సెడ్ యూ కెన్ యూజ్ సన్ యాజ్ డ్యూరింగ్ మెడిటేషన్
ఆలంబన.
అట్లాంటి ఏమి?
ఆలంబనం అంటే సపోర్ట్. That means like when you want to do the japa, your japa is the alambana to withdraw your mind from something. Or when you are doing the puja, you are looking at the whatever the Bhagavan that you have in front of you, Krishna, Rama, or Shiva. That is called the alambana, support.
Okay. So she was saying you can use sun as the alambana.
Right. So like same way, like when we do the Gayatri Japam, we either imagine or look at the sunrise and do the japa. So the sun is the alambanam.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Andy.
Okay. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Andy. Yeah.
Namaskaram, Shankar garu.
నమస్కారం అండి. థ్యాంక్స్ అండి.
ఇక్కడే ఉండరు.
Thank you.
Okay. ఓకే, నేను రేపు ఆపరేషన్కి వెళ్తా ఉన్నానండి, ఇది కండుది.
ఆహా.
సో నెక్స్ట్ వీక్
ఏం ఆపరేషన్?
అదే టియర్ డ్రగ్ ఇదైపోయింది కదా,
ఆహా.
బ్లాక్ అయ్యింది.
ఆ,
సో ఆపరేషన్ పోతా ఉన్నాను. సో
ఓకే
నెక్స్ట్ వీక్ అయితే చదువుతానో అకౌంట్ లేదండి.
ఓకే ఓకే. I'll ask you. You can say I'll skip. So,
ఓకే
or send me a
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
message early that you don't want to read.
ఓకేనండి.
Okay.
హరి
Namaskar.
ఓం. ఓకే, నమస్కారం.